Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 14 of Weekend Warriors, the review series for GranTurismo's sports car and sports coupe selection. And in this particular pick we're featuring more of a traditional sports car, 2 doors, 2 seats, convertible, ragtop, etc. And I would say this is one of my favourite pure sports cars on GranTurismo 6. It's a premium model with some visual upgrades to use, and the car is one of the lesser appreciated models from the particular dealership that it comes from. And the dealership is of course TVR, one of my favourite manufacturers. They build incredible sports cars. The only real problem that they suffer from is reliability. Everything else can be worked with, and they're a lot of fun. They're basically exactly what you want from a sports car. Affordable, powerful, great to look at, they sound phenomenal, they're extremely quick when you want them to be, but also very playful the rest of the time, and on some models there's a fairly imminent threat of death. And that kind of is always cool on a sports car. Maybe not so much on the last one, but overall they are very good sports cars, and it's a shame that the company overall has so many issues, because I love pretty much every car TVR has ever made. They make incredible sports cars, and this car is no different. Now this car is unfortunately overshadowed by cars like the T350 and especially the Sagaris. On the game though, those cars aren't anywhere near as popular as they are in real life. There is no Sagaris. The T350 is a good car, but not necessarily as good as you might hope, and certainly not as popular as you might expect. The main TVRs that tend to be used are the Tuscan, first and foremost, then probably the Speed 12, and then after that probably the Cerberus. This car, on the other hand, kind of gets lost in the shuffle. The TVR Tamora is a slightly softer looking sports car than some of the more aggressive siblings which it has, the T350 and the Sagaris for example, but I personally think it's a great looking car, especially from the back. It's a completely unique looking TVR when you actually put it up next to the others, and although TVR have a fairly similar design style with most of their vehicles, they are at the same time all very distinct if you put them next to each other. The only real similarities tend to be between open-top and hard-top versions of essentially the same car, such as if you compare the Cerberus to the Chimera. They are essentially the same car underneath, which is why they look so similar. But even then, there are a fair amount of differences between the two. This car is kind of alone. There aren't really multiple forms and variants of the car. It's just basically TVR's entry-level sports car of the time. That being said, entry-level from TVR is about as insane as top-tier sports cars from other companies. They basically are insane as standard. They come out the factory like that. And this car's no exception. Now, as far as price, it's really good. Any sports car on the game has a notable price. Even stuff like the Tesla Roadster is a 100 grand car, and although some are cheaper, you're looking to pay larger amounts of money, say 50 grand or more, for any decent sports car, with very few exceptions. This car sits at just under 71 grand. That's pretty good, to say the least. Most TVRs sit around that kind of price or more. Some are a little bit cheaper, but not by much. And I would say that that's an excellent price for this car, especially for a premium sports car, no less, although most TVRs are unfortunately not premium. Now, as far as what you get from this model, because many people probably don't know, because many people don't use this car, or it doesn't seem so anyway. Well, as far as engine, it is slightly smaller in capacity than some of the others. It's a naturally aspirated 3.6 litre. It is, of course, rear-wheel drive, and it puts out some pretty decent numbers, to say the least. 536 horsepower, 391 foot-pounds of torque, so not insane power, but for a naturally aspirated 3.6, that's not bad at all. One of the best points about the Tamora, though, is the weight. This is a very, very lightweight sports car. With the full weight loss package, you're looking at 886 kilos. And when you combine that weight with the sheer power, the horsepower per tonne skyrockets. 605 horsepower per tonne is really good for a car of its price and power, and that translates really well into its track performance. The handling on the Tamora is very good. As I said earlier about TVRs in general, they can be fast when you want them to, surprisingly quick around the track in fact, but they can also be playful when you want them to, and that is definitely the case with the Tamora. You can drift it easily, you can have fun with the car throwing it through corners, but with very minor tuning changes and a change of driving style, you can easily turn this into a very competitive track car. All of the TVRs in the game, in fact, have that in common. They can be built into very competitive circuit racing vehicles at multiple PP levels. They're all really good cars in their own right. Some of them have similarities, but at the same time they are all notably different from each other. And this car, I would say, is similar to the Tuscan in some ways, in the ways that it performs and the way that it handles, but it's a little bit more playful than the Tuscan. The Tuscan feels a little bit more serious and more aggressive, whereas this car feels more the equivalent of a puppy. It's a small ball of power that likes to be thrown around, kind of like a Lotus Elise. And that works for this car. It's not about being the fastest, it's not designed to be the best TVR, it's designed to be the entry level, and it does that really well. For an entry level model though, it's seriously rapid. The top speed is up there with pretty much all of the other TVRs of note. They tend to hover around the 240, 250 mile per hour region. The acceleration is, as you'd expect from such a lightweight car, really strong, and all for the price of just under 71 grand. You can't really complain at that kind of value. So I don't really understand why more people don't use this car. You would have thought that the fact that it was a premium would have garnered more attention towards it, but it doesn't seem to have. That's a shame. But at the same time, it's kind of not a shame, because it means that those of us who do use it and who take that chance are rewarded for it. And this is just that, a very rewarding sports car. So if you get the chance, it goes without saying, I'd recommend trying it out. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.